Okay, it is counting. Let's try
Okay.
this one more time.
Just to let everybody know, this is the third take of
Third
this.
take.
We have gotten to like 120 pounds twice, and so we switched devices. So now we should be good. This is basically an update that we had talked about doing a couple weeks ago. It was basically all his fault. He was running the country, doing whatever, and so we're back.
Yeah, some holidays, but also with the high school season getting started, everybody's getting on the mat out there. We've been a little distracted there as well. So
And speaking of the high school season, it is our second week of practice, and I have been rolling around for 5 days, and I am absolutely miserable, and I am out of shape. And so any other older coaches above 40 that are rolling around for the first time this year, maybe you can feel my pain. I think the problem is now is a lot of these kids we've had since youth are now grown men. And I know my son, I have not seen him out there yet, but the last time I wrestled with him, it was like he wanted some payback. So I guess we'll see.
yeah.
We'll see how it goes this year. So, but excited for the season. I'm sure everybody is. We're excited to get on here and talk wrestling. It's that time of the year. I know football's starting to wrap up for some people, and yeah, we'll see everybody in a gym here soon.
Very, very soon. So what we wanted to do tonight was just kind of recap the All-Star event, talk through some of the matches and you know, rankings and stuff like that. But we'll just our thoughts on how the event went. So we'll just start from the top and roll through.
All right, this will be the third time, so we should be able to fly through these first few. 106, Ricky Garcia versus Thomas Deck. I think probably leaning towards Garcia, just depending on, we didn't know Deck, his size, what he would be. But, it came out. Garcia got first takedown, and then it was pretty much all Deck.
Yeah. Yep. I think Garcia right out of the gate gets that takedown and didn't continue attacking, and Deck battled back and actually pulls away right at the end. So even though he's undersized, he shows that he's definitely going to be one of the top competitors this year and able to roll with any of these high school guys. He was, an 86 pounder as a middle schooler last year, and he's up over 100 pounds now. So yeah, he'll be just fine at 106.
Yeah, so he ends up getting the victory 7-3. I think ranking-wise, we had mentioned this the first two times we recorded this. He has climbed up. He will probably continue to climb. But good match. It was definitely a good win.
Yep, our next 106 match, Tristan Ballinger and Jordan Upton. Fairly dominant victory for Ballinger. He'll be one of the tougher guys at 106, I think. He was a small 106 last year. Now he's going to have to watch it to make weight. Was pretty dominant here. Wins 11-1. Upton's good size 106 as well, but you kind of see the difference in experience. And but again, Upton was been a backup with the lightweights that Woodford County has had. So now getting the chance to get in the lineup, I'm sure this experience is going to help him. So by the end of the season, I would expect him to be pretty competitive as well.
Yeah, not to mention he's rolling around with Yost. He's rolling around with Tucker. It's either sink or swim in a situation like that. So my guess, banging with those guys all day long is probably going to pay off. So, he's a junior, a little bit older, for that weight class. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll keep an eye on him, see what he does. Next, Adam Bender, Michael Maddox. I think this was probably our first match of 1 versus 2. It ended up being pretty much all Bender. 10-2, major decision over Maddox. Actually, first period, take down Bender, escape Maddox, take down Bender, escape Maddox, and then the the 3 near fall in the second pretty much.
Kind
I
of
think-
sealed it.
Yeah, that kind of stopped it for him.
Yeah, Bender looked good in that first period from neutral. Couple fairly easy takedowns, and once you get on the mat, he's pretty tough.
Yeah, he catches that wrist and it's tilt, 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 tilt. So we had talked about this. I think with Maddox, first period came out, and then second, third period, just you could tell conditioning was a factor. Not to say that he was going to beat Bender, but my guess is season comes. You get Maddox in shape. My guess it's a little more competitive than 10-2, and I'm not saying Maddox is going to beat Bender, but I definitely think it should be closer than that. But great match for Adam. I'm glad he can make it out this year and wrestle. So my guess is looking at that lineup, I think Bender fits in nicely with Woodford County. We had talked about that before, and should be his year, I would think. Win a title. All right.
120. This is the match I think a lot of people are looking forward to. Yost and Wheeler, two real tough, good defensive guys. Yost, the defending state champ, and not a lot of scoring. 1-0 Wheeler victory, but had some good flurries and some. It was a pretty good match, good exciting match to watch for a 1-0 score. Had some controversy with some potential takedowns and maybe some points not on the board that could have been, but I don't know that really affected the outcome. And I think it's very likely to, especially depending on where Gunter ends up, if he's able to get back to 20 or not, this could very well be state finals matchup again.
Yeah, I think with Wheeler and Yost, those guys, they don't give up points easy. Watching those two wrestle, I enjoyed the match. A lot of times a 1-0 is, it can be kind of a boring match, but it was interesting watching those two. Very methodical in what they did, and it was, my guess they see each other probably a few times this year.
I think so.
I think they're both very competitive. He mentioned Yenner. Does Yenner get back to 20? We also have a Wallace in there. Wallace, I guess, he lost to Yost last year in the state finals. So, those top 4 guys up there are, in my opinion, it could go anyway. I really do. I think depending on who wrestles the best match. But it was great to see those two guys on the mat. Good match, 1-0, and Wheeler comes out with a victory. Next is Bradley Miller at 120 versus Brody Haverstick. Ended up being Brody, a 7-5 match. It was actually, I thought it was a good match. Brody comes out, gets the takedown. He started right from the beginning looking to score. I think with Miller, picking that match, I thought at the time it was probably a coin flip. I wasn't really leaning either way on who I thought would win. Just both of them I thought wrestled pretty solid.
Yeah, that was a fairly even matchup. And it come down right to the end. It could have gone either way. And I'm kind of anxious to see. We talked a little bit with the Millers, see where they end up. They were not big for these weight classes necessarily, but definitely appreciate those guys being there. They didn't make a big deal about it. Just showed up to wrestle.
Yeah, that definitely leads us into the next one, and we can talk about that. At 126, we had Ryan Moore versus Brandon Miller. And what had happened, we actually had Torgensen lined up to wrestle. He had a little bit of some health issues going on, which he actually called me, let me know, hey, I don't know, how it's looking for me. And he gave me some advance notice. So basically I got, the Miller's on standby. I think originally we were going to have Brandon down there wrestling Brody, and we got Brandon to step in, which we actually have Brandon. He was actually ranked at 126, so we thought, okay, well, it probably makes sense at that point anyways. So we had Ryan and Brandon Miller wrestling. Ended up, Ryan came out, takedown, near fall, escape, takedown, and then ended up getting the pin. I think, looking at the match, that's probably what I kind of figured. Ryan's wrestling well. I think we had mentioned before in our last video that, Ryan had a heck of an off season. He placed at Flo, placed at Fargo, placed at Virginia Beach. So, Ryan's definitely wrestling well. With the Millers, I don't know what happens. Does Bradley go down? Does Brandon go down? It's like anything else with the season. We put these names up here, and you just don't know. Guys are going to get in there practice. They're going to see what their bodies do, and start making choices. So.
Yeah, anything could happen with weights. But I think those are two guys based on what we saw that we could definitely see going down in weight from where they're at right now.
Yeah, and I don't know. It probably makes sense. I think, I wouldn't think it'd be an issue for Brandon. I don't know, Bradley going down. We'll see.
That might be they probably have a little more flexibility in the lineup down at Taylor County than Henry Clay. I know last year they had some issues as guys were fitting into getting down to weight and fitting everybody in the lineup at Henry Clay. But Taylor County probably got a little more flexibility in where they want to go. Okay. Next match, 138, Jacob Henley and Dalton Bell. Another fairly lopsided match, 14-4 win for Henley. Looked pretty good all around. Takedowns on top, he's getting turns. Looked good on the bottom, so pretty fairly dominant victory there. And that was another one. We appreciate Dalton Bell, kind of a last minute fill in there. He was more than happy to step up and make the weight when Cameron couldn't make it.
Is that what happened?
I don't know.
Okay. All right. Definitely appreciate Dalton stepping up. I think we both agreed that, we watched some of these kids first period, second period, and all of a sudden third period just dying. It looked like to me that, Dalton did the typical, hadn't been on the mat a ton, and all of a sudden it was second, third period, and he's just dying. And anybody that wrestles knows anything about it, it takes some time to get your wind back and, get in wrestling shape. So thank you again. My guess is Dalton's probably like a couple of these other wrestlers. You get him in wrestling shape, you come January, February, he's conditioned, ready to go. And my guess is the match is a little bit closer than that. So
Yeah, 6-minute match is definitely not easy just to jump into.
I tried to get it a minute and a half. So, all right. Next, Trent Johnson at 145 and Nathaniel Lawrence. This was all Trent. I think, it ended up being 18-4. Nathaniel Lawrence, he's young. What is he, a freshman?
Freshman.
So he's a freshman now, coming up wrestling Trent, which Trent is very experienced. Trent's another kid that's traveling around, wrestling all over the country, and putting in a lot of time. But you know, I haven't seen Lawrence wrestle that much. I've seen him a handful of times. I know he was out in Fargo with you guys this year. We have him. You know, he's one of the top-ranked guys at 145. I think, you know, we were just discussing 145, and there's a bunch of guys in there. You know, we'll see what happens. I think at this point, you know, he is the youngest in that group of those top guys, and you know, yeah, I would say he would probably go in that dangerous category. I watched him wrestle, and I was watching him warm up, and I think he was warming up. Was it with Henley? Maybe it was Henley or Small. One
I
of
think he
those
was out there with
guys.
Smallwood for a little while.
I was watching those guys warm up, and he's pretty crafty guy. So
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, I think I didn't really consider it before they got on the mat, but in my mind, that's probably, at least the way with their current styles and strategies and just the way they wrestle, it's probably not the best matchup for Nathaniel. You know, like I said, he's kind of crafty, but he to get to some of the things he does, he gives up some position sometimes, and Trent's not the guy to do that against. I mean, he stays in such good position and was able to take advantage of it a lot. And he looked like he was in pretty top form. Just some of his transitions and a lot of his takedowns, he was going right to near fall. So he definitely wrestled well on his home turf there.
All right. Where are we at? 152.
152.
Derek Smallwood versus Dallas Miles. I think, you know, match-wise, you know, Smallwood, for one, he had a great off-season. I think he was in the finals at Virginia Beach. You know, he had to sit out, well, it was last year, right?
Yep, last season.
Last season he sat out when he actually transferred to John Hardin. As of now, we have him as a top guy at 152. Dallas, multiple placer. I guess he's placed, what, 3 years in a row? I believe. You know, you could correct me on that, but he, you know, between those two, I think we kind of joked that, you know, we never knew what was going to happen with those guys. They like to scramble. They both get in some crazy positions, and I didn't necessarily think the match would be 13-3. I thought at this point that, you know, Smallwood, I know he has been going all season long. You know, I definitely had him as a favorite over Dallas, but, you know, I think Dallas was another situation where you could tell just conditioning set in. And my guess is we probably, you know, you get into wrestling season ready to go, you know, Miles is going to be ready to compete.
Yeah, I think I expected maybe about that many points, but I thought there'd be one little flurry or one scramble that Dallas would come out on top and, you know, get his 2, 4.
Oh yeah.
And tighten that up a little bit, but yeah, you can just tell a little difference in Derek being a little more sharp.
So nice win for Smallwood, 13-3.
Okay, at 160, Mason Smith and Corey Knopf. Guess we had one pin on the day, and this was our one tech. Yeah, so Mason, you know, again, another fairly dominant 16-0 victory. Pretty good. We had to laugh as you know, Mason was doing well on his feet and on top, and then Coach Johnson and I were sitting there in the corner wondering what was going to happen, and Josh was like, yeah, he's going to take top. He's going to be looking for that cradle, and Mason knew the same thing. We didn't even have to say it. He was looking for that. But I'd never really met Corey before, and talking to him and his dad down there, very impressed, very nice, polite, and another kid just happy to be involved and be a part of it. So if every kid took that attitude and approach, man, this, it's a good event anyway. But if every kid that we asked to be part of had that kind of attitude, this would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I'll definitely second that with Corey. I had a chance to talk with him after the tournament. Had a chance to meet his father. Absolutely nice kid, very polite. That says a lot. I've met a ton of kids over the years, and I'm always so impressed with the ones that can look an adult in the eye and just be polite and well mannered, and he definitely makes an impression when you meet him.
Yeah.
As far as the match, I think Mason was another one of those guys playing football, has not wrestled a tournament since Virginia Beach, I think. He plays football, but it was one of those typical. I was glad to see him come out there and compete. I know we've ran into, I'm not in shape, or heaven forbid I go out and lose, and he was just like, sure, I get a singlet, okay, I'll come wrestle. So, I was glad he came out there and wrestled. As far as the match, I think I could see about second period, he kind of gave a look like, oh my God, I'm tired. But, it's, thanks again to Mason. He's not here, but for coming out and wrestling. So finally, we had, we called it 182/195. We had Matt Stevens against Andrew Varble. I think, we were having such a tough time getting the big guys. The first year we actually had some big guys come out that said, sure, I'll wrestle. But, as we reached out to people, most of it, I'm playing football, I haven't wrestled, I don't. So we kind of had a tough time filling it. And really the match, I mean, it was one of the most exciting matches I thought to watch.
Yeah.
Seeing two big guys roll around like that and scramble, I mean, it really was a fun match.
Yeah, I think we hadn't really talked about this, but I think maybe the guy I was most impressed with and surprised was Varble. Again, a very competitive match, and I hadn't seen Matt Stevens wrestle a lot until the end of last season, and I was pretty impressed watching him last year, and so I knew coming in he was going to be tough. And Varble's kind of like opposite end of the lineup, but Jordan Upton, he's a guy that you haven't seen a lot of. Definitely hasn't been a household name, and so I wasn't sure what we were going to get. And he came out and competed really, really well. Had again one of those matches where it come down to the end, it could have gone either way.
I mean, they scrambled.
Yeah.
I mean, for some big guys, a lot of times the big guys, they tie up, one falls down, and but these guys were moving. It really was impressive. And I think when we were talking about Varble when we got it, I think one old Robert Tucker saying, oh, he's going to be okay this year.
Yeah.
So you got a fan in Robert Tucker. He definitely, he's got some pretty good insight. Sometimes we'll ask him, and he's he
Definitely one of our secret sources.
Oh yeah, absolutely one of the go-to guys for
Give us some
some honest opinions on some kids, and he was he made some good comments about Varble, and I can see after wrestling like that, him coming out there and against some of those other 95 pounders. I'd be excited to watch him wrestle this year. So.
Yeah.
So we definitely wanted to thank everybody again, anybody that watches this video or anybody that helped us out with that tournament. All the sponsors, every year we get some guys, you can probably run down them, that helped us out.
Yeah. Coach Joe B, Coach Nabel, the ETC guys, Brandon, and still poking at our guys down at E-Town Athletic Club. We actually have done well enough that something will be coming for the state tournament. there will be something. We're still finalizing all the numbers. Like I said, we keep poking at E-Town. If we get a little more there, then we actually might do a couple things for the state tournament. But
I think that was the whole goal. So I need to address this. It's one is we need to thank our wives. They work the door, and our wives work the door. And there was a certain member of a school that did not want to pay the admission. I think he said, "I'm a coach. So you know who I'm talking to." And I think that here's the reality that the whole idea of doing this tournament was that we were going to raise some money and we're going to try to do something for the kids. There was nobody, taking that money home to do anything, and that's the whole point. So next time somebody comes to that event and they don't want to pay the $5 and tell them I'm a coach, this and that, come on, it's $5 and it's going to a good cause. So I won't call you out, Tim. I'm a fan. I've always, but now I'm just kind of busting your chops. But I wanted to thank you, everybody that came and helped out, that was a part of it. I think it was successful. It's like anything else. When you do something, there's always, you should have done this or that. But I think the overall view of it, at least from people I've talked to and messages we get and stuff on Kentucky wrestling, I think people appreciate it. And I know the kids, there was kids, hey, I want to do this next year. I want to do it next year. And I think that's what we'd like to see. I'm thinking maybe after the state tournament, maybe we can post the thread then that, hey, anybody interested, and that way they can plan and put it on their calendar. And usually what we do is those guys that place, or the guys that place top, they don't have to be the state champ, but the guys that are usually placed, and that's what the rankings are based off of for the following year coming up. So anybody that has wrestled and has done well and interested, you see us at the state tournament, or our screen names, send us a message. And it'd be nice to have a list to be able to go through and just pick versus calling people. And we could do it like Team Kentucky or something.
yeah, I did get some good feedback from the college coaches too. Heck, I even noticed Coach Flieger up there. He was taking notes, and he was really into it. He specifically made a comment how much he's been there both years. He enjoys it, and he appreciates having the chance just to show up there. It's not a short drive for him to make that trip over, but it's a perfect opportunity for him to sit down and see some of the best kids in the state and get a little jump start on that recruiting process for guys he wants to focus on. And then as well, the guys from Campbellsville that were there, Coach Merton and Coach James, definitely supporting and appreciate what we're trying to do, and they want to see it continue and continue to be a part of it.
So what's next?
Next, you talked about wanting to kind of do a team breakdown. So I think what we're going to do here in a couple weeks is take some time, get some quick updates on the rankings, and maybe even a sneak peek if anybody's done any fat tests in the next week or so. And then we'll just kind of maybe do 3 teams apiece. We'll each kind of break them down and talk about what they have, what they potentially have, and again, get kind of like that top 6 in the state and see what we have to look forward to.
Yeah, my guess is, once we start seeing body fat, as of now, I see posts, this guy's going here, this guy's going there. Once the body fat test comes, and then, especially the rankings become easier, at least putting the right kids in the right weights, once the season starts, there's always, you can go in and look at the results of a team, and okay, then we can start guessing, 2 pounds comes, a lot of times things happen when the 2 pounds come. So I guess, we'll do some breakdowns, and it should be an exciting year. Do you want to? Who wins the state tournament?
My initial gut says Union. I think Woodford's going to be right there with them.
I do too. Yeah, that's probably a pretty good guess. Yeah, we'll see. It's going to be interesting this year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so it'll kind of be interesting to see. I mean, even though we've got all this right here and everything in the spreadsheet, we haven't really set and laid things out. And so it'll be interesting to see, number of returning placers, state qualifiers, where kids are ranked, number of top ranked guys for each of these teams, and see how they kind of stack up.
it should be interesting. All right. Well, it is now 12:30. We started at, I don't know, 10:30, so something like that. So we will be back. I think we'll have rankings, new update.
And maybe we'll post the rankings right before we do our next
Okay, that
next
makes
video.
sense.
So in the next week or two.
All right. So everybody, good luck this year. We will, we'll see what happens. It's going to be an exciting year. I think as the season goes, we'll be able to have some predictions and see how it goes. So, thank you.
I guess one thing I will add, let's see if we can get some more interesting discussion going. Doesn't have to be people fighting or getting on any crazy rants. Just some interesting discussion. I'm sure when these rankings get posted, people are going to say, "No way, this guy's going this kid weighs this much. This kid was this over the summer." So it can be nice informational discussion. It doesn't have to be just arguments and stuff on Kentucky wrestling. So season has started. Let's get everybody livened up for some good debates.
Yeah, so we were just talking about this. If anybody, I think it was probably maybe 4 years ago, back when Ryle had just the completely dominating middle school team with Myman and Belk and both Erdmans and
Yeah, it's probably 6 years ago.
was it? It seemed like that was the time when Kentucky wrestling was the most. There was always something, right? It seemed like there were so many people involved and so many people texting, and it was, I mean, you would get on every day, and now it's, I guess it kind of just goes through phases, right? Some parents get on there and, they post this and post that, but it just doesn't seem like it's as exciting as it used to be. So, and maybe as more kids come up and more parents get involved and, they start getting screen names and, go to the website and start giving input and I like how you say the fighting and, just, post stuff out there. There's always, I know people that really follow wrestling love getting on there and, reading about, hey, this guy went here, this guy made a college visit, or this team looks tough, or this lineup should be this. Anything to get the website going, and more talk the better. So, all right, that's it. I guess we'll see you guys soon.